Okay, welcome everybody to this webinar, Utility Benchmarking Program for the Danube Region Utilities. This is an event that will introduce you to the possibilities and the programs that are being offered for utilities to improve themselves through utility benchmarking. Benchmarking being a program that involves utilities collecting information about the utility operations and being able to share that internally within the utility and to share with other people to get a comparison between utilities and operations, to learn from one another, to provide a program of exchange that can happen between utilities. I'm Philip Weller from the International Association of Water Service Companies of the Danube Catchment, and I will be your moderator today. We have a good number of people here from the different, what we call hubs, who are managing the programs. The hub coordinator for the Danube program, or the Danube hub, Alexander Kristic, who will say a few words about the program and introduce it to you, as well as coordinators from two of the other hubs from Bulgaria, Mr. Ivan Ivanov and Nadira Vitaya from Kosovo Albania hub, as well as participants from the programs who are in utilities and are participating in the program, and they will able to provide some experience from their perspective. It's our hope that through this webinar, you're able to learn about this program. We certainly hope for those of you from utilities, you think about joining the program. We also, for those people from municipal governments, would be very anxious for you to encourage your utility to join this program. It is of enormous benefit, we believe, as well for municipal governments, and some of the participants, I think, will comment on this. As well from institutions, I know on this webinar, there's a number of people from international financial institutions. We would very strongly encourage you to encourage utilities to be a part of this program that you are supporting as a way of tracking their progress in improving. As I've mentioned, this webinar is part of a series that the Danube Water Program has been organizing. The Danube Water Program is jointly run by the International Association of Water Service Companies of the Danube, IAWD, and the World Bank, and is, in this particular case, a program we're discussing here run under the Danube Learning Partnership, which is a partnership between the utilities associations within the Danube region to offer capacity development for utilities. I would give the word at this moment then to Raymond Meyer from the World Bank, who will provide some introductory words on behalf of the World Bank, and then we'll introduce then the subsequent presenters as they join us. But Raymond, if I could give the floor to you.
Sure, thank you very much, Phil, and good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me clear and loud. I would like to send a warm welcome from the side of the World Bank to the participants of this online event on the Utility Benchmarking Program for the Danube region. As the current abnormal pandemic situation continues, I think most of us got quite used to participate in online webinars, what is basically a tool for a crucial aspect, namely allowing to continue with the exchange between water experts and representatives, learning from each other, and further building a community of knowledge in the water sector for the benefit of the countries and the people in the region. Building a community of knowledge and strengthening capacities is also one of the most important objectives of the Danube Water Program and of key relevance for today's topic, benchmarking generally and the Utility Benchmarking Program more specifically, which is a foundational program under the Danube Learning Partnership. Why is the World Bank supporting utility benchmarking? Because it is the bank's belief that utilities who are organized and know their operations and can track changes in operation are ultimately going to be better and successful utilities. It is the objective of the World Bank to improve water service delivery for the benefit of the people, the economy and the environment, which needs investments and financial support to make the necessary improvements. Collecting, tracking and maintaining good information about operations through utility benchmarking is essential to make sure that the needed investments are targeted, beneficial and subsequently help sector improvement in service delivery. Therefore, the commitment to sharing and learning from one another through this program is to be recommended. We look forward to an interesting exchange today, learning from the experiences of the utility testimonials, also expanding the network of utilities engaged in this effort, and in working with other international financing institutions and donors in ensuring that cooperation among utilities is also strengthened. So I wish all of us, with these introductory words, an interesting and successful event, and looking forward to the presentations and the discussions then afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raimund. And yeah, the cooperation between IAWD and the World Bank has been really quite successful, and we will have some comments on it. And it's very good to have this partnership, which brings the good experience of an international financial institution together with the Utility Association. Despite some difficulties, I understand that Walter Kling has now been able to join. And Walter, I would like to give you the floor to welcome on behalf of IAWD, the president of IAWD.
Well, thank you, Phil, and especially a good morning from my side. It's been a little bit tricky today to start the facility, the electronic facilities. But as you see, I'm online, and I'd like to give a welcome on behalf of IAWD from here from Vienna, and as Phil said, to start and kick off this this electronic online event for today. I just want to give, not my personal, but out of my experience, a little bit of feedback of what kind of impact benchmarking had in the businesses I had to take care of. And this is in particular the experience I have out of the Vienna Water Utility and the benchmarking we did here, as well as the benchmarking we conducted over a long period of time with the Austrian Waterworks Association. As time goes on quickly, and I want to be very brief, I just want to that everybody participates bear in mind that if we compare this kind of development, which we have already had in Austria and in Vienna, we are a little bit ahead, or quite ahead in this development. But I think we can pass on the experience and the benefit you get out of the benchmarking. And I had the chance to discuss, to promote this event yesterday in a meeting which we had here in Vienna Water, and I was quickly asking, look, what shall I report about the benefit we had out of benchmarking for Vienna Water? And I think from our managers there was a unanimous answer coming back, is it's an excellent point of self-reflection. So it really helps your utility most. It's definitely not a tool of competition, not to compare too much to each other in a way of competing against, but getting the data from other utilities as well, and having the chance to see to find a kind of orientation for your management processes, where you are in the current process of development of your company, on skills or targets you have to fulfill. And this is interesting, and this brings you forward even to the skills of process benchmarking. But I just also want to point out that there is experience behind that, and I think especially for Vienna Water, it's the development towards working with indicators in your utility. And I think this is one of the experiences you should have in mind, that once benchmarking is well established and your your staff is trained on that, the next step is really to work with indicators in steering and maintaining the utility. The reason I want to point it out is because I also want in the discussion to have a focus on the OECD Water Governance Initiative, which is definitely built on the collection and the comparison of indicators and to collect indicators of water utilities, which is the next level of benchmarking. But it's a governance and a very strong governance tool. And I'm pretty convinced that very soon IAWD will also bring this kind of experience from OECD to you. It's the next level. So let's get started with benchmarking here in the Danube region, and we definitely will promote utilities from Austria or the Austrian benchmarking results to be also used for the benchmarking process in the Danube Water Program. So it's a very interesting issue. It's very difficult, very briefly, to give you a good taste on really the sense of it, but I might also join the discussion later on with some input and some thoughts on this. With that, I wish we will have a very interesting and a good meeting for today on these benchmarking issues, and I give back to the moderator, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter, and we will very much look forward to a sort of dialogue. I would encourage you, as you can perhaps see in the chat, the dialogue has to happen through a chat function. You are, though, by all means welcome. I see some of our colleagues from different utilities, such as Gracenice, also Tuzla, are joining. Please do make your comments in the chat and address your comments to all the participants so that it goes to everybody, not just to the moderator. Yeah, with these introductory words, and thank you to Raimund and to Walter for the inputs, I would like now to just briefly, and if I could ask Alexandra Kristic to put up the first presentation, very quickly for those of you who are not familiar with IAWD, just to provide a quick background, and then turn the floor over to the hub coordinators, the people who are managing the programs related to the benchmarking, to be able to give you some inputs on what this program offers and what are the tools available to you. If you can go ahead to the next then, Alexander, thank you. Yeah, the Vienne was the founding location for IAWD. If you can skip through to make sure the text is all there. Yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, the Vienna Water, as Walter's just pointed out, was the location of the founding of IAWD in 1993. It is founded on the principle that utilities need to share, exchange information together. It is an organization that is running programs, and in this case, together with the World Bank, to help facilitate the cooperation between utilities and make sure that the kind of dialogue that is needed to make improvements in the water sector are able to be done. We are very fortunate in having a number of very key water utilities from the region as members to help guide the activities, as well as utility associations from all the countries, or most of the countries, of the Danube River catchment area. We also have a number of corporate and entities who have joined the organization and are supporting the activities in helping offer these issues. What is important is that IAWD helped create what we call the Danube Learning Partnership, which was a basis of utility associations in the region cooperating together and identifying that they needed to share the possibilities of curriculum, training programs amongst one another. And we have representatives of a number of the associations together with us on the call. I see that Adcom's here. Dora Popa is from ARA, the Romanian association, for example. These associations have been cooperating together and formed the Danube Learning Partnership. And this program that we're talking about, the Utility Benchmarking Program, is an integral part of that by bringing together programs across the Danube River Basin, sharing them together, offering them to the utilities on the basis of the national associations primarily doing so, and you'll hear from the colleagues from Shukos and Bulgarian Water Association related to this, but also acting as a basis of coordinating these schemes throughout the river basin. I think without further ado, I would simply turn the floor over to Alexander Kristic, who's the coordinator of what we call the Danube Hub, which if you can go to the next slide, Alexander, sorry, yeah, okay, now go to your first slides then, it's okay, yeah. Is the coordinator of the Danube Hub. What I would like to stress is that the benchmarking is a foundation, and here you see the scheme of DLEAP, a foundation for the information that you need to help improve yourself as a utility. And as Walter and Raymond have pointed out, this program is targeted at helping utilities help one another. And then I would turn the floor over to Alexandra to introduce the program and the tools available. What is important, and I would like to stress this at the beginning, this program is being run at the Danube level by IAWD, but at the national level by various institutions, which you'll hear about. But it is the case that the utility needs to make a commitment to this effort and also make a financial commitment to it in terms of making the tools available to you and then getting the rewards and benefits that the participants will talk about. So Alexander, I would turn the floor over to you to introduce the utility benchmarking program.
Thank you, Philip. Hello, everyone. As Philip mentioned, utility benchmarking program is foundation program of DLEAP because it connects all other programs through analysis of all elements of operation of utility. International Water Association definition for benchmarking is that benchmarking is a tool for performance improvement through systematic search and adaptation of leading practices. And just to remind, it consists of two steps. First one is performance assessment, and the second one is performance improvement. As Philip mentioned, the program operates in the form of designated hubs. So far we have Bulgarian hub, Ukrainian hub, Albanian Kosovo hub, and regional Danube hub. Now, using these designated hubs, UBP helps utility companies in assessing their performance and collecting, validating, and analyzing their data in their own language. And here is crucial, the online platform. Then in evaluating their performance by internal and external comparisons, where utility benchmarking reports are crucial, and here you can see a sample of it. And in discussing and planning their performance improvement, where critical are workshops, study tours, specialized reports, etc. So when it comes to performance assessment, I will now really quickly go through the tool so that you have a feeling what it contains, but this will be more discussed in the next event. So in addition to request for variable names, there are variable explanations for each variable. There are fields, of course, for data entry. There are calculated variables in the system available, and they can provide automatic calculation and provide also information about the calculation. While entering the data, you can also see historical data so that it's less possibility for mistakes. Then next thing is automatic verification of the data that is submitted as one level of control of the data entry. Then validation of data by the utility. So for example, usually by benchmarking coordinator and the general manager. Then validation of the same data by the hub. So each variable is validated so that we have now three already steps of control of the data. Of course, it is possible to exchange information, like to provide comments between participants and also to provide source for each data source, for each data provided. And finally, it provides calculation of indicators. At the moment, we have inside, let's say, so-called standard level, but now we are introducing gradually process level benchmarking. When it comes to performance evaluation, each utility receives at minimum a standard report of the UBP. There are comparisons between context information, then performance overview per service or per different segments of performance. There are individual indicators are compared internally, so between previous years of the utility, compared externally with other utilities from the hub, compared with averages of other hubs, and variables also that are used are compared so that utility can more easily know which variables to address and to, let's say, attack in order to have a better performance. Then wastewater balances and models, revenue and cost models are provided in very convenient form. There are also other reports like international financial institutions reports, owners reports, so to report to local self-governments or to other owners which may be involved. And the next step that we are planning is also to use move comparisons on to the index comparisons, not only in the indicator comparison. When it comes to performance improvement, there are annual workshops are given by all the hubs. During these workshops, we evaluate the results. Also, the results are discussed between utilities and performance improvements is also discussed. Best practices are presented by the leading utility companies. Also very important, we encourage all private companies to join us and we also like to present new technologies which are available from these private companies. To each annual workshop, a study tour is connected, usually a water treatment plant. Then we take care that all participants are receive certification. We offer some awards for high performers. In addition, a number of hubs use study tours as part of the hub operation, and this is example of Ukrainian utilities going to I think Bavaria for a study tour. We also try to promote water sector to public and to all other stakeholders. And of course, very important for utilities is networking between the utilities. And of course, we try to have a good time during this. Just short overview. At the moment, we have 40 utilities participating. At the past, we had some 70 utilities in the program. For now, these 40 utilities cover some 13 million population, out of which 11 million are supplied, 8 million are connected to sewage, and 6.3 million receive wastewater treatment. Annual investments they vary, but they are around 100 million annually. Another thing also is that because we will also provide reports for international financial institutions, we encourage also utilities which are going through some investment phase and need to report to international financial institutions to also join. And first experiment like this we are doing with the World Bank project in Ukraine with 8 utilities. This is just a brief sample of some reporting. As said, population coverage in the region in these some 40 utilities is at median is at 92. For resident population connected to sewer system is around 73. And resident population that receives wastewater treatment service is at 55. All this we will discuss in the next event and the workshop. This was just a brief presentation of what we will discuss.
Thank you very much, Alexander. And in a very short time, you've given a very quick overview of the program and the capabilities of the tools available. Just to emphasize again, there are two ways to join the program. One is at your national level, if you're having an offer of a national institution, which we'll hear from two of them now, the Bulgarian Water Association and Shukos and Shukarb, who are jointly undertaking a program. Or in Ukraine, the Ukrainian Water Center, which is the partner organization we're working with, or at the Danube level, and Alexander is the person running the Danube Hub, which is comparing utilities or providing an opportunity for comparison among the different countries. Yeah, if anybody wants to follow up, please just make sure that you put a note in the chat and we will get back in touch with you if you need further information or details. It was a very quick presentation, but very good and very clear to show you what the possible opportunities are. Now we would like to hear from two of the hub coordinators, and if I could give the word to Ivan Ivanov from the Bulgarian Water Association for comments on the program that they're running within Bulgaria.
Hello again to everyone. As president of Bulgarian Water Association, I can definitely say that the international benchmarking project is a successful project, even activity, not only project, but activity for both the association and the whole water sector in Bulgaria. We started this activity in 2014. And in some years, we had more than 15 participants. The last year, we had only 7. But despite the few number of participants last year, I think this project is on the focus of all the water and sewage supplier in Bulgaria. And this is evident from their participation in our annual event. Usually, we invite all the water operators to discuss the results and to share their good practices, and get a lot of operators participating in this annual event. And actually, also in the study tours that we organize every year, we have more than the usual participants in the benchmarking itself. My expectation is that this, with the newly established and put in place utility benchmarking platform, the project will be more attractive for the water operators in Bulgaria, because it seems that the new program, the new platform, is more adapted for the local conditions. Maybe you know that I was recently appointed as chairman of the Bulgarian Water and Sewerage Holding. This is an organization that will own the state shares of 28 water operators. And from my new position as chairman of this Bulgarian Water and Sewerage Holding, I will look for a cooperation, a partnership with both Bulgarian Water Association and the International Association of the Water Operators in the catchment of Danube, a partnership that will help us to fulfill our obligation, and our obligation are to improve the financial situation and the performance of the Bulgarian water operators. I believe this can happen only if we compare our results to the other country operators and share good practices between us. That was my statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. And we certainly will follow up on this offer and the commitment that you have. And congratulations on your new position as well, which we are optimistic will help create even greater improvement within the interaction between these activities and the Bulgarian water utilities. But thank you very much for this statement. I would now like to ask our colleagues in Albania and Kosovo, and actually our Kosovo Shukos Nadira, who's the coordinator of the program for the Albanian-speaking countries who are jointly managing the activities together. I see that somebody from Flora is on, as well as Avis, who will speak a little bit later from this cluster or this hub activities. So Nadira, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you all of you that are being today with us. I'm very glad that I have this opportunity to be a coordinator of the benchmarking hub for Kosovo, Albania. This crosses boundaries of speaking the same language, Albanian language. First, in beginning, the concept of creating the hub, it was the first challenges for both the association. After that, the benchmarking methodology doing the utilities, it was something new concept for using the indicators, performance indicators according to the international standards. The utility benchmarking program concept is ensures the utilities who are participating in the national hub this assessment, the same assessment methodology, and get the utilities get the comparable the results. We start with a very small number of utilities, and the number is increasing year by year. Also, the volume and quality of the data is growing up. I wanted to describe here, to compare ourselves, but regarding doing the benchmarking. And I have put here in this slide that where we were before doing the internal benchmarking utility and where we are now. Those where we are now, we are considering as benefits from utility benchmarking program. In that time, we didn't have such kind of practice to do the internal benchmarking the utilities. Not team working on improving the performance, not for the internal benchmark, I mean. No internal report of company with key performance indicator. We face with problems that we have lack of the data, recording of the data, no comparison based on the international standards, no self-assessment performance improvement on the utilities, and we didn't, the utilities didn't have the internal report for decision makers using for internal or external needs. So now we have created one mechanism. I'm calling that efficient tool doing the utility benchmarking. Each utility participates in the program has the coordinators, benchmarking coordinators team. We have started with one person per utility to act as a utility coordinator. Now in the teams are 2, 3, and lately the Pristina is asking to have 4 in the team, because it's needed to work more in that way. Utility has in disposal individual report with key performance indicator. Grow the number of the data, the quality of the data. Utility has their own comparison regarding the historical report, can compare with the peers in the country, in the Kosovo, can compare with the utilities in both countries and in Albania, also can compare with the other hubs, participating utilities in other hubs, in Bulgaria, Ukraine, and ex-Yugoslavia states. Now the utility also have the self-assessment for performance improvement through systematic research. I need to mention here that our group, it was very active. I'm very glad that having such kind of practice, good practices with them. And regarding this, we have created such mini groups, technical groups. And one of that group is leading by Ms. Evis Jebreya. I'm glad to see here now she. And we have created the technical group, financial group, customers group on specialists. And they people have to deal directly with the different indicators. to explain, and other colleagues from other utilities, but that's exactly it should be calculated or put it then in that cal. And finally, utility on their internal report, which can be used by decision makers, by management in utility, also for other stakeholders for external need. And one thing which I think it's more important here, that all management in utility speaking unanimously. They have one report, they have exact data, and they can speak, all of them, they can use that report and speak. And, yes, Alexander? So I go back. Since 2004, we start in 2005 and collect the data for 2014 as a pilot project with small number of utilities. The hub was managed by Shukas and Shukal jointly and led by Shukas. Now we are in the doing the new start. We have started doing new exercise with data of 2019. We are happy that we have passed that transition phase in the new platform, but it seemed that from the beginning that the utility coordinators are very happy because it's a very good one's platform. And this year participating on a program, 5 utilities from Albania and 7 regional water companies from Kosovo. That means we have all utilities from Kosovo involved in the program. Before saying this, I would like to raise on issue that we would like to save this what we have built during this period. Both associations, also the utilities, are facing the financial problem. And I would like to ask from the ITS, from the donors, that they should take care to support us to forward this program, because it's more effective. But I saw until now for 20 years working with this industry. Finally, it's very important that all utilities now understand and use benchmarking on its advantage to identify the gaps and the opportunities to improve the performance. Benchmarking practices in the utilities guarantee a more fluent and efficient communication and information between departments. This is very, very important point. Benchmarking is very important that water works can be effective doing the right things and efficient doing the things right. That is all from my side. If you have any question, I will be here all the time.
Thank you, Nadira. You've done a very good job of outlining, I think, what are some of the key reasons for being a part of the program, and also the challenges that have been faced. And as you pointed out, it is a historical development that is taking place. And I can remember some of the first meetings, and benchmarking is a long-term commitment, and being able to ensure that this data is available and used properly does take time, but the commitment, I think, clearly has been worth it. We will now hear from some of the companies who have actually had that opportunity. Just before I do, I just want to point out that our coordinator for the Ukrainian hub, Victoria Iskova, was not able to join us today, but you can see within Ukraine, and as Alexander's pointed out, we have now over 20 utilities that are part of the using the tool available to share information, and together with our World Bank colleagues have set up a very good basis of training the companies that are getting financial support from the World Bank to help them use this tool to help them track the improvements that they're making. I would, though, like to turn to our presenters from the utilities and give them the floor, an opportunity to speak directly from a utility perspective, and would ask then Avis Gabrea from Tirana Waterworks to give a short statement on behalf of her company's participation, which is both in the Albanian Kosovo hub, which you just heard about, but also in the Danube hub. Avis.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the nice presentation of my previous colleagues. Tirana Water Utility has been part now of the benchmarking program since many years now. And Our utility decided to be part of this program for the 3 reasons I would summarize. The first one is that it is a major tool to improve performance and transparency. Second, it is an initiative that gives you the opportunity to compare at the national, regional, and utility level, thus allowing us with other utilities and learn from each other. And third, it is a tool that can be used for new funding in the sector in the region. I'd like to mention here that we have a personal experience of using the benchmarking reports and sharing the data with EBRD. Tirana has benefited from a big EBRD project, and when the Mott MacDonald, the consulting company, did the due diligence, we shared the data from the benchmarking platform. I would like now to list some of the benefits, how we benefited from this benchmarking program. On the data collection and analysis, through this platform, UKT collects data on performance indicators such as coverage, service quality, efficiency, financial aspects, and then we validate this information and we get an individual report in which the performance in several areas compares with other utilities in the group of similar size and with the average performance of the Danube hub. The good thing about this platform is that utilities are not only compared to each other, but also compared at the regional level. And I like the motto of the Danube hub, don't bury data, but work with it. Data collection is certainly, of course, not an easy process. We all know that. But the best part is that the program itself offers guidelines to explain each indicator. And in this context, working groups, technical groups, as Nadira mentioned, have been set up to agree on the source of information of the indicators. Another benefit that we get is on the exchange knowledge and practices. So several meetings and kickoff workshops have been organized by the Albanian and Kosovo hub, as well as Danube hub, to discuss the performance indicators and the results from the reports. In the meetings in the framework of the Albania and Kosovo hub, we have agreed on the technical language of the indicators. So we spent many meetings at the beginning to understand what the indicators are all about. And of course, since the indicators have been translated into Albanian language, so we discussed together those indicators, and then we agreed that it is necessary to set up these technical groups grouped according to the indicators. So we have like commercial indicators, customer care, technical indicators, based on the expertise of all these specialists that we had. And the Danube Hub, which is a great learning partnership, of course, that supports capacity building and the sharing of knowledge and experience, has organized 2 workshops up to now, 2 hubs, we call it, where we have discussed our results from the reports, and we have shared all the results, and not only among the utility members of this platform from different countries that are part of the platform, but also what I liked was that there were also donors taking place in the hubs, where the regulators, and in this regard, I would like to mention that it is very important the active participations of the regulators. But as a final remark, the challenges are twofold, I think, for all the utilities in this platform, and of course for our utility. First of all is to understand why some utilities are performing better than others. And we have done this in the Albanian and Kosovo hub, where we have compared why one indicator for why Kosovo is doing better and how can Albania benefit from the Kosovo experience. And the second challenge is how to translate this result into performance plans. We have started right now the UKT, and together with the association, Albania Association for Water and Sewage in Albania, we have started a discussion with the regulator, national regulator in Albania, how we can use these performance reports and to share the data with the regulator, because the Albanian regulator, national Albanian regulator, is the one that prepares the yearly performance report, and it is very important that we share this data so that we can benefit from each other. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Avis, and yeah, for your perspective as a utility that's both at a national level, but also from your size, needing this international comparisons as well, and benefiting from those. I would now like to give the floor to Peter Pizorica from Subotica Utility, a utility that was the location of the Danube Hub, the last Danube Hub workshop. And Peter, I would give the floor to you and yeah, ask you to provide some comments from the perspective of your company, which I know for a long time has been using these benchmarking processes.
Good day to everyone from cloudy Subotica. At first, I will shortly explain our journey to the Danube Benchmarking Platform. Our company was during 80s of the last century the seat of Serbia and Montenegro Business Association of Waterworks, and this association was a member of the World Water Association. From that time, the embryo of benchmarking conceived during that area. And there was 62 waterworks and 36 supplier companies. In that period, we had the first steps about benchmarking on the principles who is who. Since 2013, our company and more 30 other companies from Serbia, in cooperation with Interinstitutional Professional Network, and its former president, Aleksandar Krstić, we started some new era of participation on benchmarking, and that was on the IBNet methodology from 2007 to 2014. Since 2014, when we joined IAWD, becoming a member and joining the Danube Water Program, we started the benchmarking according to EBC methodology, and at first we started on standard level, and from 2017 on advanced level. Our biggest benefits from that is the development of geographical, technical, financial and personal databases, and we connect that with our purpose to have accessible and reliable data on web-oriented platform, where all our authorized users can get this data. After that, the second thing should be introduction of operational bookkeeping in order to allocate our incomes and expenses separately by working process. Earlier, we didn't have that data, and we didn't know how our expenses, how much is in some part of company. Then monitoring the trends of company and key parameters indicators that on a yearly intervals. That made us opportunity to introduction of controlling system in our company, where we can every 3 months we have data, and our management can see where are we on the planet works, and what are the risks for our company. And maybe the fifth thing is exchange experience. After 2014, we had we can see where are we in whole region, not just in Serbia, and we can compare our company with other companies that have served approximately the same number of users, and have the same problems or something else. This is 5 biggest things that we benefits for our company. I would just like to mention this, that in last year, in February 2019, when the benchmarking workshop was in Subotica, in order to institutionalize the exchange of experience of good practices between waterworks and their regional cities, we launched an initiative to establish a partnership agreement between 4 cities. It is Novi Sad, Subotica, Szeged, and Bijeljina. It was in plan in March of this year that Banja Luka and Tuzla also joined this event agreement, but because of the COVID, we couldn't manage that. But we think that maybe in October, after this pandemic, they will also join this. This is all for me. I hope that I should shortly say everything about our benefits in this participating in this benchmarking project. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Petar. And the one thing maybe just to underline, which Petar has pointed out, is that one of the very, I would say, strong commitments that your utility made is the relationship with municipal governments and bringing the municipal government together with your the municipal government, who is the owners, with the operations element and the data from this program being able to be helpful for those municipal government officials. So thank you very, very much for that. I would now give the floor to Dora Popa, who's with the Romanian Water Association, also a representative of on the board of IAWD. Dora, the floor is yours. If between you and, unfortunately, we're getting closer to the time, so if you can keep it as succinct as possible, that would be great. But we look very much forward to our colleagues in Romania who actually began these activities much before even they were done in the Danube region. So Dora, the floor is yours.
I would like to share the screen. I'm not allowed to do it yet, but good afternoon and thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to seeing you, and of course I would rather prefer to see you in person, but this is the times. You asked me to make some testimonials. May I share the screen? Maybe Kathy could.
One second, it should be now possible.
Yeah, it is now. It is now. Share. Let's check. This should be. Could you see it? Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. So you, Philip, wanted me to give a testimonials about this exercise. I swear it's good. But you also asked me why we choose to have this, we join Danube initiative. First of all, in my capacity as IAWD board member, I have to say that the International Water Association is deeply involved in this kind of exercise since many years. And as you could see on the screen, there is a manual of best practice published already, and also promoting international conference. One of them was in Vienna in 2017, and we all know that Mr. Walter Kling is a huge fan of it. Our company is involved in the Romanian in three benchmarking exercises. In our opinion, one doesn't exclude the other. One at the national level and two at the international ones, EBC and Danube. We used to report also on IBNet platform. In Romania, starting on voluntary basis. The Romanian benchmarking is for 10 years now, and it was first voluntary, and now it's compulsory because we took some loans, and EBRD and other IFIs are loving it. Regulators, also the consultants, are in love with that, so they are pushing us to report. The process was gently guided by the authorities. At the time, they doesn't know exactly how to do it, but they asked it to do it right away. So why Danube benchmarking program? It was simple. We were so curious. As a natural monopoly, we don't know what others do. We started to know what happened in Romania, but we doesn't know what happens beyond national borders. We were curious to see, how do I look? We have an impression about ourselves, but sometimes it's proved to be incorrect. I remember one of the first exercises in Romania, when the general manager of one of the biggest utility in Romania says that he thought he was the best, but at the end of the day, he has doubts about it, and he has much to learn from the others. We would like so to compare. It's useful to compare each other. Every manager, every stakeholders, as we heard, the regulators, the IFIs, even the NGOs or the citizens want to look at the trustful measurement tool first. That's why we need to check the data. We heard something about the checking the data, and I was looking to the draft report, and I've noticed huge spread of data, and also huge variation from one year to another. So we have to go in depth to check the data, because the quality of benchmarking is starting with the quality of data. Not every mirror is suitable to compare each other. The context is very important. That's why we join, beside Romanian benchmarking exercise, the Danube initiative, thinking that the participating utilities in the region have more similarities with our company. But any mirror isn't enough. We have to go to gym also to train ourselves, learning from the best in order to achieve better performances. That's why we will follow the IAWD urge to cooperate more with our peers in the Danube region. And I really hope that this benchmarking program will go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doro. And as both a representative of a utility within Romania, but also your connection with IWA, this perspective is very good. And I certainly can say that I enjoyed your presentation as well, in terms of highlighting some of the issues in a very good way. And your emphasis on perhaps the desire of financial institutions and people dealing with improvement money, as Avis has pointed out, it is important that this data is available to provide to them. The final presentation or statement that we have is from Valeria Tot from Szeged Utility, just across the border from where Peter is in Hungary. And Valeria, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I am from Szeged. I hope everyone is fine and having a good day. On behalf of Szeged Waterworks Limited Company, I can inform you about the following. We joined the benchmarking program by IAWD 3 years ago. It was a pleasure for us to partner up with the group of waterworks of mainly the Western Balkans and Danube region. We have strong relationships with the waterworks from border regions of Serbia and Romania. And our company is mostly municipality funded limited company. Management is provided by the professional investor of Veolia. And our business policy is to operate the municipality-owned infrastructure at a profit, in accordance with the national rules, in order to continuously ensure the level of consumer satisfaction. 9 years ago, the law reduced overhead, froze the price of our services in Hungary. Due to limitation in prices, we had to find other tools in order to be able to provide profit continuously year by year. Our indicators examined show clearly that we have and do have reserves in the wastewater sectors. This year we received the title of energy conscious company. We are proud because that, and knowing our indicators of domestic and foreign water works, we are searching for opportunities to increase profit and customer satisfaction. Gaining profit is our aim, because we can renew and develop our equipment base and networks. The result of our participation in the benchmarking program is that by analyzing and comparing the data, we can get to know the real, more realistic sectoral situation of the company compared to the others. It is also important that the platform provides an opportunity to compare our annual performance indicators with the parameters of European and Danube waterworks. Also from 2016, we are able to make annual comparison by following improving and weakening trends. In addition to the continuous communication of data to the Hungarian Energy and Public Utility Regulator Authority and Hungarian Water Association and the professional investor, we interpret our participation in the benchmarking program as an international competition, which is an incentive for our management. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Valeria. And this set of statements that you've heard now gives, I think, a very good perspective on different locations where people are committed to these issues. I must say that my compliments to each of the utilities who are part of this program, because it involves a commitment from the utility, and the people who have spoken, Valeria, Dora, Avis, and Peter, are all senior persons in utilities who are using this program for their own benefit. It is clear that this activity is not something that you just get, it's something you have to invest in. And these utilities are doing that. We certainly would be very happy and appreciative if more utilities joined the program. It increases the benefits, I think, to those people who are part of it. The group of people on this call have been very reserved about questions and comments that they are putting in. I would like to, there's a few more minutes we have left now. The president both the hub coordinators are and the utilities themselves, and giving you an overview of this program. There will be, I think, for the anybody who is interested, you, as I say, can get the presentations that have been given here today. Also, if you want information, and I would encourage you to use the www.dleap.org site where you can get information on the utility benchmarking program. But if there are any questions that anybody wants to put up just before we sign off here, then I'd certainly be happy to pass those on. Just before I do that, is there any final thoughts that any of the piece participants then who have been panelists here would like to make on the basis of other persons' comments? Is there anything any of you would like to add? You've all been very good and very concise, but I do want to offer that opportunity if there is anything that someone's statements has triggered your thoughts. No, we're all good, I think then. What I would say is that we are very, very happy to be offering this program together with the National Water Utility Associations and in the service of improving water utility service in the Danube region. As the participants have all spoken about, what we're offering is a platform that allows the data to be collected, to be able to be used by persons in the utility, to present it in a form that you can make it available. And you've seen some examples of the reports, but if you want further, I would suggest you contact any of the participants. You can present that data both to yourself, but as been mentioned, it can also be presented to your municipal government, who is often the owner if you're a utility manager, or the international financial institution that is providing you perhaps financial resources to improve your the program. In addition, it allows you this comparison between the services that you're operating and others. As Dora's pointed out, it's extremely important to understand the context, even though data, one company may look better for one reason. City of Vienna, for example, being very good in energy efficiency because it's operating on a gravity system compared to other utilities that are having to pump water, and the energy use is clearly then much higher. This program is one that is available. We're very happy for anybody who wants to join. The new cycles are now just beginning, and you can certainly begin. And we would encourage, as I say, anybody from a municipal government or international financial institution to encourage the utilities that your utility, if you're a municipal government, and the utilities that you're working with, if you're an IFI, to participate in these programs. With that, then, I will draw this webinar to a close. For the people in the Danube Hub, there will be the hub will continue the internal discussions that will take place beginning at 12:30. But this session was an open session that we wanted to have available to everybody and make sure that the broader public and persons who maybe want to join could. We have one question here, just that perhaps from some of those who have spoken from the utility side, if there have been any obstacles in the decision-making process to join the program, and what those obstacles are for Peter or for Avis or Valeria, if you just wanted to add any comments to that. Any of you willing to offer the kind of, I mean, your own, perhaps Peter, if you could just say your manager, your direct manager, and the municipal government was very supportive, but has there been any obstacles that you've had to overcome in joining such a program?
We didn't have a problem with joining the program. The obstacles, yes, between the city and the company. The obstacle is always because the money is the biggest problem, because the city to operate need the money for the maintenance and everything, and the city in Serbia looks a little bit different on that. They are thinking also that the water, the price of water not to be so big that every people can pay, and there is the biggest difference between our company and municipality. But the good thing is that they are willing to speak with us about that, and they also willing to listen if somebody from different companies speak about that. Good about that is when we have a credit loan arrangement with now with IAWD, and also have some it is not credit, it's grant from KfW Bank, and municipality is willing to speak and listen what are the problems of our company, and also to see how some other companies and municipalities, what are they doing to solve these problems.
Thank you very much. Avis, I see you're going to, yeah, I'd like to make
also, our utility, we didn't have at all any obstacles, and in contrary, the city is very supportive to whatever program we are part of, and benchmarking we have a long experience now with, we are becoming now like a family actually, with all other utilities in the region at the national and regional level, and we discuss the performance indicators with our board, because our board is very active and we meet quite often, and also with the shareholders assembly. So, I mean, this is a great program, and we look forward to future years to continue, should the program, of course, has a long-term experience.
Yeah, Dora? Yep.
One of the obstacles is, let's say, money, but this is not a valid one. If you are looking how much money the companies are spending, this amount spent, it's insignificant. But I think the manpower and the times are dedicated to this, and because in Romania we have already one benchmarking, the companies are reluctant to join to other initiatives, even though there are few companies in EBC and in Danube program. I think not all of or most of the people in the sector really understand the value of the benchmarking. This is why, and this is because we have a good database, even there are some errors sometimes, but we need to get more from this. That's why I encourage to have more exchange between the utilities, and to try to make reports, specialized reports, as I heard about the financing things, about communication. This is very, very important. I saw also a question about transparency and the sharing with the regulator. Years ago in Albania, the chief regulator was asked how many data he wanted to have, and he says all of them. I have to tell you that this is not used to do it. You'll get drought in all this data, because as you know, we need few key performance indicators to be public, let's say, and others to be also delivered to the local authorities, to regulators, and most of them, we have more than something like 200 KPIs. We don't need to share with everyone, with all the public, all the KPIs. Most of them are for our use. We would like to use the benchmarking for our, let's say, own interest in improving performances. And sometimes the public doesn't know to enter to our kitchen to see how the stuffs are cooked.
No, thank you for
Philip, can I add something?
Yes, please.
Sorry, because I see the question here about the transparency in benchmarking and which data are available for the public. Following what Doru said, it is true that the report has many indicators, and maybe the public won't understand all the data, but it is important that each utility simplifies the report for the public. Like we have budget for citizens, we could have benchmarking for citizens, so that out of this report, a short story about how the company is performing should be prepared for the public. Just to clarify.
No, thank you for that suggestion. What I would, Valeria, did you want to just say anything, or what I would just like to do is quickly, I'll answer the question, one of the questions that they're just on the costs, so that people do have that, and then give Valeria quickly the floor, and then we will, I'm afraid, have to close. In any case, in terms of the costs, the investment that has been made in the Danube Water Program has been to establish the sort of infrastructure and the organizational capacity to run this program. It is also then the case that the individual utilities are paying a fee, in most cases 1,000 euros or something in that range, for this program. As Doro has pointed out, this is a very small amount of money in terms of the benefits. In the case of the Danube Hub, it's a little bit more, but the basic fee is very, very minimal. Despite that, we still have a number of utilities that clearly struggle to be able to find the resources to do that. Nonetheless, we are of the understanding that the benefits, as people here have pointed out, are significantly beyond what the actual costs are. With that, then I give the floor to Valeria then.
One answer. The management of our company is satisfied that we have joined in this program, and that our plan is to include another Hungarian company in this program, because we are proud with our parameters. I must tell to you. And thank you for this.
No, thank you for this intervention. I think you offer a unique perspective of being from a private company that I know, or a private company that has internal operations, but also your willingness to join in comparing with some of the publicly owned companies is also extremely good, and we're very happy to hear if you're going to encourage some additional companies to join the program. With these words, and I'm sorry because we perhaps did not leave as much time as we could have or should have for questions. There's been a couple of questions there that we will not be able to get to, although I think the majority of them we have. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the persons who have provided statements on the panelists who have been part of this, to Raymond and Walter for their introductory comments, to Alexander as the Danube Hub coordinator, but Nadira and Ivan from the hubs that are operating in Bulgaria and Albania, Kosovo, and to our 4 utility representatives who I think have done a very good job. I'm very glad we've taped this, because I think your statements are extremely helpful to us in further developing the program. But most of all, I thank those people who participated in this program to learn about these activities. And I encourage really everybody to think very carefully about utilizing this tool that is available. It is an investment that has been made by the Ministry of Finance of Austria in the Danube Water Program that has allowed us to get these activities established. As both, I think Avis and Doro have pointed out, it's important that it be able to keep going. We're trying to find mechanisms to ensure that the financing of the efforts are able to keep going. Nadira has pointed out that it's not easy for national associations to do that. And one of the best ways to make sure that the activities are going to continue is by being engaged, supporting them through your own efforts. As each person, I think, here on the panel has pointed out, it is a commitment that you as a utility are making, not for anybody else's benefit, but for your own. It can be used, though, as Avis has just pointed out, for helping you communicate with your customers, for strengthening the understanding of the key operations, as Doro's pointed out, is those key indicators that maybe are useful for people to understand the utility operations. With this, I would say thank you, and on behalf of IAWD and the World Bank, to thank you to all of the panelists for your input, and above all, as I say, for the participation of the people who have been part of this webinar. And this is a topic that we will perhaps try in future again to provide further information on, but we will have a summary of this particular presentation and a video of the recording of this event that you can use if you want. And some people have indicated that they would like to connect with individual participants, and if you send us a message, we will create the connection for you such that you can communicate with those persons who you want. So thank you very much, and very, very good presentations and contributions from our panelists. Thank you, and have a good day, everybody. And despite Corona, that I hope we continue to work well together as a community of people in the water sector, working to improve our services. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.